Octopus is changing its most used smart tariff. Octopus Intelligent Go is undergoing a small change, but it's a small change that may affect some heavy users. What's changing? Should you be concerned? Stick around and we'll dig into the details. So let me set the stage. About 2 weeks ago, Octopus held one of its user group webinars where Phil Steele, who is sort of head of smart tariffs, said that there were some issues with people gaming Octopus's Intelligent Go tariff. Now, all they said at the time was there are going to be some changes to the tariff, details to follow. Well, it's been a couple of weeks and we're starting to see those changes filter through. So before we dive into what's changing, for those that aren't on Intelligent Go and don't know what I'm talking about, let me give you a quick synopsis of what Intelligent Go is. So Intelligent Go is a smart tariff that is designed specifically for people with electric vehicles. It gives you a minimum of 6 hours of low cost electricity between 23:30 and 05:30 every night, and that's charged at 7 pence per kilowatt hour. Now, on top of that, what makes this a smart tariff is that when you set the tariff up, you have to either integrate your charger or your car with Octopus, and that allows them to control the smart scheduling. And when you plug your car in the evening, it will look at how much charge you've set in the app to say, I need my car to be ready by 7:30 in the morning and I need it to be at 80%. And it will then work out, depending on how much charge you've got, when it will start scheduling your car. Now, quite often it will be outside the hours that I said a moment ago. So you get those guaranteed 6 hours of cheap rate electricity, but it might be that they've got some cheap electricity in the grid they need to use up. So they might start scheduling it at 8:30 in the evening. When you get scheduled outside of those core 6 hours, you get your electricity at the cheaper rate, even if it's the middle of the day. Now, this is really good for people who have EVs with large batteries, but also people who have EVs and home batteries, because it allows us to charge our home batteries at the same time and at the same rate as we're charging our EV, because that 7 pence per kilowatt hour covers your entire house. So any electricity you use in that period will be at the cheaper rate. Now, some clever people have figured out how to game the system. So by slowing your charger down, so Octopus might think you have a 7 kilowatt charger, but you kind of dial it down to maybe 3.5 kilowatts, it takes twice as long to charge your car. And because you've set a rate to say, I want this to be at 80% by 5:30 or 6:30 in the morning, it will then give you more slots to be able to achieve that rate. What we're starting to see now is Octopus are running out of slots to be able to fulfill everybody's requirements because some people are gaming the system. And that's what's kicked off these changes. So what exactly has happened? Well, in the last 24 hours, a small number of users have received an email from Octopus. Now, I'll pop the email contents up on the screen here. I'm not going to embarrass the person that sent this to me, but as you can see here, this is the changes that are being made to the tariff. So let's take a bit of a dive into what's actually changing. And in the email, Octopus says that Octopus Intelligent Go customers will still receive their 6 hours of off-peak electricity for the whole home. So for anybody with home batteries, you don't need to worry. You're still going to get your 6 hours from 23:30 to 5:30 in the morning, when you can not only charge your EV, but you can charge your home batteries and you can run all your appliances at cheap rate. Now, this is where the subtle change comes in. It says you will also receive up to 6 hours of discounted smart charging every 24 hours. These may be during the 6 hours of off-peak, outside those times, or a mix of both. So hey everyone, JT here, jumping in from the future. Well, since I recorded the video yesterday, and whilst I'm in the middle of editing it, Octopus have come back with some more clarifications. And they clarify some things and they make the water a little bit muddier with others. But let me clear up one thing. With this change, you are only going to get 6 hours of charging for your car in any 24-hour period. That doesn't matter if it charges during the middle of the night, during the cheap rate period, or you get some periods outside of that. You might get the whole 6 hours outside of that, but only 6 hours of charging for your car in any one 24-hour period. Now, a lot of people are going to have a lot of problems with that, because one of the approved ways of charging your car is with a granny charger. What the name we give to, a charger that plugs into a normal standard 13 amp plug socket. Obviously, they're limited to 2.5 to 3 kilowatts. So those people take a long time to charge their car, and they generally need more than 6 hours. Now, they're probably drawing less energy over a longer period, but Octopus are going to now limit everybody to 6 hours of cheap rate charging in a 24-hour period. Now, this doesn't affect the rest of your house. So if you use up your 6 hours before 11:30 at night, you're still going to get cheap rate electricity to charge your home batteries, to run the dishwasher, the washing machine, all of the things that you would normally do during those cheap rate hours at night. But you will not be able to charge your car, because if you do, they will deduct the energy that your car uses and charge you at the full rate for that. Now, Octopus say these changes are going to come in at the end of January, and they will give us plenty of notice before that. Now, to be totally honest, I think the way this has been handled is a complete shambles, because they hinted about it 2 weeks ago. They sent an email yesterday or the day before yesterday to a couple of people. Now they've put out a blog post. Why not just email every single user of Octopus Intelligent Go? It's not like you don't know who we are. You could just be upfront and say, here's what's happening, here's all the information, rather than all of these little leaks that are going out. And if you jump onto any of the Octopus forums on platforms like Facebook, Reddit, on X, then you'll see a lot of people are really annoyed about this. Anyway, back to JT from yesterday, and we'll wrap up this video. So again, this is only really going to affect people who need to charge their cars for long periods of time, who need those extra slots. And if you go over the amount that Octopus allocate you, then you are going to be charged at full rate for them. So this all ties back to the terms and conditions in section 2.4.1.8. It says Intelligent Octopus Go is subject to a fair use policy with a maximum of 6 hours of managed charging per 24 hours. Should your charging go outside of this, they reserve the right to charge at the full rate. So why are they doing this? Well, the way it was explained in the webinar is that the back-end system for Octopus, which is known as Kraken, it understands how much cheap rate electricity it has available to it, and it will then allocate those in half-hour slots. And for anyone who's set up a schedule on IOG, you'll know you usually get them in half-hour slots. So you'll get 1 o'clock in the morning till 1:30, and then 2:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the morning. So it will allocate those to users, and it only has so many of those at any one point of the day. So if some users are gaming the system and taking more than they should, it means that there aren't any available for other users. Now, Octopus aren't going to say to people, you can't charge your car because I've run out of slots. They're going to have to cover the cost between the cheap rate electricity and the full peak rate electricity. Obviously, as an energy company, they don't want to do that. Now, the fair use clause helps guard against disproportionate usage from a very small number of users. And should they let this continue, we could end up with a situation where they have to limit the tariff even further. It has to be limited for people who aren't gaming the system, who are just using it within those fair use parameters. So hopefully this will resolve the problem and we can all just go on with our lives. So who will this affect? Well, as I've said a couple of times already, for most typical EV owners who charge their car at night, who maybe charge some home batteries or run the dishwasher during the middle of the night, this isn't going to affect you at all. If you plug your EV in, you leave it on the default settings, your home appliances run during the 6-hour window, you don't deliberately schedule in such a way to try and get cheaper slots during the day, you're not going to be affected at all. This is really going to affect very heavy users, people who charge their EV maybe from almost empty to 80% or even 100% every single day. Maybe taxi drivers, people who manage large fleets of vehicles, people who have to work at different hours to the rest of us. There are lots of reasons why you might need these extra slots. But Octopus does have an answer for you. If you can't fit in with the fair use policy within Intelligent Go, then they have something called Drive Pack. The Drive Pack allows you to pay a monthly subscription. I believe it's about £30, and that gets you unlimited smart charging for one EV. So again, if you do need lots of charging slots during the day rather than at night, then something like Drive Pack might be more applicable to you. So to wrap this up, if you are just a normal user, you plug your car in at night, you let it charge, you set your washing machine, your dishwasher to come on at maybe 11:30 at night, you can continue to do exactly what you've always done. There are no changes. There's nothing here that's really going to impact you. So no need to panic. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you found this informative. I'm sure all the terms and conditions on the website are all going to get updated over the next couple of days. But if you did get one of these emails, I'd love to hear from you. Hit me up in the comments below, or you can find my email on the main channel page if you don't want to do it publicly. But I'd love to know what caused you to get the email versus others, because like I say, I didn't get the email. And although I don't use very many extra slots, in fact, very rarely use any extra slots, I do draw a lot of power. So this shows it's a time-based thing rather than a how much energy you're consuming based thing. But anyway, love to hear why you got the email or why you think you got the email, and let me know in the comments what you're going to do about it. Anyway, with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope this has been useful, and if I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.